You know what's really interesting thinking back to Thriller Bark now, seeing as how we're actually divulging Brook's backstory in the recent chapters and also spoilers for Elbath. But it's interesting to think about Brook and Ryuma because both of them are very similar in the fact that both of them are renowned swordsmen and were big shots during their time, but also in the times that they existed are unknown to us in the timeline of One Piece when you really think about it. And it's weird to consider because Brook is more modern than Ryuma, but Brook's timeline is completely unknown to us, even when we're getting information right now. He exists in a time in which all the big shots that we know right now didn't exist. Matter of fact, the only reason why he probably knows who Roger is because by the time he was on the seas himself, Roger was getting started, which means he existed in a world where there was no Zebek. There was no Big Mom. There was no Kaido. And I find that very interesting because what actually was the state of the world at that point? Then it's even more interesting when you consider Brook was used to set up more Black Blade lore technically, because there are only two Black Blades in the series. Yoru, which belongs to Dracula Mihawk, and then we have Shusui, which belonged to Ryuma in his life. So it's weird when you're talking about sword lore. I guess you could say Brook is technically always along for the ride because of his association with Ryuma, which is a very odd thought. And now I wonder, is he going to get armament hockey in the future or observation hockey in the future? Because it's strange that he was so powerful back in his life, but he never developed anything of the sort up into the present. It just seems odd, especially seeing as how he was the best at the 3-hum aeronaut slash technique. It's really weird. And like I've mentioned before, it's weird that only he and Cavendish are fencers in the series of One Piece. Like, fencing just isn't a popular fighting style. And I find that interesting because why? But that leads me to think, was it popular during Brook's time? Did Esperia, Brook's homeland, pioneer fencing? But once Esperia fell, did the art die out? Was the bourgeois kingdom associated with Esperia in any significant way? Because Cavendish's style of swordsmanship can't come from nowhere. So who taught Cavendish? And it's weird too that once you get back to Ryuma, we don't know where Ryuma existed or how he got to where he got to. Because when you consider the events of Monsters, Monsters does not take place in Wano. Monsters takes place on some random island somewhere. So how did he get from Wano to wherever Monsters takes place? Does the place where Monsters takes place exist in the modern day? Because it was this weird kind of saloon-like island, I guess you could say. So I don't know, but it's weird. What was the state of the world when Ryuma was alive? We don't know. But getting back to Brook again, it's also weird too that he changes swords from the time that he's in the raiding party as the captain to when he's a pirate. Because he goes from using a regular saber to actually using a cane sword. So that's kind of weird. What actually inspired the change? And is his cane sword significant? Who made it for him? Why did he choose that to be his blade? There are a lot of questions that I hope do get answered, but these are just some random thoughts that have come to mind as of late, and I wanted to share them with you all. But with that being said, if you are enjoying the video so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button, followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. With that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Works.